Welcome back to Ubuntu Mastery, Lesson 19, where we wire up the eyes and ears of your fleet. Backups are running from last lesson, so now we tackle the next operate problem. Knowing what every machine is actually doing, in real time, we're building the full open-source observability stack. Prometheus scraping metrics into its time series database, Grafana as the single pane of glass, Loki aggregating logs, and Alertmanager routing pages only when something genuinely breaks. Start with Prometheus itself. It's pull-based. Every 15 seconds, it HTTP gets the metrics endpoint on each target, and targets expose those metrics through exporters. On Ubuntu 24.04, both Prometheus and Node Exporter ship an apt, so one install plus a systemctl enable gets you listening on ports 9090 and 9100. The config is straightforward YAML, a global scrape interval, a job per fleet of targets, and a pointer to your rule files and Alertmanager. And critical detail, always reload with prom tool, never full restart, or you lose the in-memory TSDB head block. Now the part that decides whether you sleep through the night, alerting. Split it in two. Rules say when to fire, written as a promql expression plus a duration. Alertmanager decides where it goes and handles dedup and grouping. Look at the rules here. Host down on up equals 0 for 5 minutes. Disk filling fast using predict-reach linear to catch a disk that'll fill in 4 hours and high memory pressure above 90%. Then we pull threads from earlier lessons. Backup tooled from L18. Attack wave detected from the L14 failed 2-band work. Every one of these is actionable. No noise. With alerts handled, you need somewhere to actually look at all this. Grafana is the single pane of glass. Compose dashboards layered over Prometheus, Loki, and anything else you've got. Use the official apt repo, not Ubuntu's package, because the upstream one is far newer. The real trick is provisioning. Drop YAML into /etc/Grafana/provisioning, and your data sources and dashboards survive a full reinstall. That's infrastructure as code, not ClickOps. And for community dashboards, just remember the IDs. 1860 for Node Exporter gets you 90% of the way there. Dashboards are nothing without logs to correlate against, and that's where Loki comes in. Think of it as Prometheus for logs. It indexes labels, not full text, which keeps it cheap and fast. Install Loki centrally from the same Grafana repo, point its storage config at S3 for long retention, then drop promtail on every host to ship journals straight up. From there, a log QL query like job equals SSHD, pipe equals failed, gives you every failed login across your fleet in seconds. Now that you can see everything, the question becomes, what do you actually watch? Don't dashboard for the sake of it. Lean on 2 proven frameworks. For services, Google's 4 golden signals: latency, traffic, errors, and saturation. That's your P95 histogram quantile, your request rate, your 500 ratio, and your connection pool fill. For resources, Brendan Gregg's US method, utilization, saturation, errors, CPU idle inverted, load average over core count, PSI for kernel level weighting, and disk and NICE error counters. Cover those and you've caught 95% of incidents before users notice. Here's the catch with those dashboards. A histogram quantile over thousands of buckets, recomputed every time someone opens a panel, will hammer your Prometheus. Recording rules fix that. Prometheus evaluates the expression on a fixed interval and writes the result as a new time series. Stick to the naming convention service::metric::window, so nginx.latency P95.5 tells you everything at a glance. Dashboards then just read pre-computed values, 5 times faster panels, and your alerts ride on the same stable metrics. Speaking of stable, this is the slide you'll actually come back to. Bookmark it. 2 rules before any reload. Prom tool check config, then check rules. If both pass, systemctl reload is lossless. The HTTP reload endpoint is your fallback when the system isn't an option. On the Alertmanager side, amtool silence add is what you run before maintenance windows, not after the pager goes off. And remember, Grafana needs a full restart for plugin changes, but dashboards live on disk under chash var lib Grafana, so provisioning beats clicking every time. Now the harder question, what actually wakes a human at 3 in the morning? Only 3 things on this matrix: service down, disk filling in under 4 hours, and error rate above 5%, all routed to PagerDuty. High latency, stale backups, app armor, denial spikes? Those go to Slack because they're real but not bleeding. CPU at 80% for half an hour is just capacity planning. Dashboard only, never a page. And review this quarterly. Every false positive trains your team to ignore the next real one. Now, 5 things that will absolutely bite you in production. Number 1 is the classic. You add a user ID label to a counter, and overnight your TSDB balloons because every unique user spawns a new time series. Keep label values bounded. Push the high cardinality stuff into Loki. 2 and 3 are both about discipline. Use 4, 10mm, and hysteresis so alerts don't flap, and never let a Grafana panel run a 30-day rate query against millions of series. That's a guaranteed 4, set retention explicitly on launch, budget roughly 3 gigs per host per month, and use remote write to Thanos or Mimir for the long tail. And 5, rate limit Prometheus and Loki, because the moment Linux throws a 5x storm, your logging pipeline becomes the second outage. So let's recap what you actually walked away with. 6 skills: Prometheus and Node. Exporter scraping into the TSDB. Alert rules routed by severity through Alertmanager. Grafana fully provisioned as code. Loki and Prometheus closing the loop from Lesson 11, the golden signals and US frameworks for knowing what to measure, and recording rules with consistent naming, all living in Git. That's a production observability stack. Next lesson, Ansible. We wrap the whole thing in a single playbook. Lesson 19, complete. You've got full visibility, Prometheus, Grafana, Loki, and the golden signals all working together. Next up is Lesson 20, Ansible. We take everything you've built across these 19 lessons and wrap it into one playbook, so a fresh Ubuntu host becomes a fully observable, hardened, backed-up production server in a single command. That's also your bridge into Ansible mastery. See you in Lesson 20.